President Donald Trump announcing today an election night rally in Green Bay.
The spring election and Wisconsin's presidential primary is a week away. Both Trump and President Biden are expected to win in the state, adding to the number of delegates needed to win each party's nomination. Jason Zimmerman reached out to party officials for a reaction in a First Alert update.
Downtown Green Bay will be the focus of the Republican Party next week as former President Donald Trump makes his first trip to the area since announcing his 2024 presidential run.
Next Tuesday will be Trump Tuesday in Green Bay and northeastern Wisconsin.
Brian Schimming is the state GOP chair and tells us the rally at the Hyatt Regency Hotel is still in the planning stage. But Trump is expected to speak at 5 o'clock with doors opening around 2.
So we expect a huge crowd there. And I expect Republicans elected and otherwise from all over the state to converge on downtown Green Bay for what will be really a kickoff in a way of the Trump campaign right here in Wisconsin. It'll start in Green Bay.
Brown County Democrats wasted no time responding to the news of the former president's visit, saying it could impact voting on Election Day and create traffic issues.
Coming on Election Day is creating a lot of noise, and he's not coming to encourage voting considering the start time of the rally. So I'm sure there's some folks that are maybe not so happy with the timing.
Democrats also anticipate some sort of counter rally.
We're talking about that. I mean, obviously, when someone of that caliber comes into town, then, you know, there will be more to come on some sort of counter event.
Well, this is the first time Trump has been to the Badger State since 2022. President Biden has been here 4 times since last November, emphasizing just how important the state is to winning this November. Reporting in Green Bay, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.